The people that grew up in the Web3 world.
I do believe we're just at the beginning.
I think that Bitcoin is the king of the crypto market.
You're optimistic.
Hey there, future millionaires. Welcome back to the channel. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here with me today. No matter where you are in this amazing world of ours, I hope you're having an incredible day. Now, I've got something absolutely mind-blowing to share with you about XRP today. But first, let me hit you with our jaw-dropping oh snap moment of the day that's going to blow your mind. Are you ready for this? A major Ripple partner just made a prediction that XRP could hit $1,000. Yes, you heard that right. $1,000 per XRP. And here's the kicker. They're saying tokenization is happening right now. This bombshell comes straight from Securitize, and trust me, this is huge news that could change everything. Now listen, here's what's really exciting. We're already seeing tokenization picking up serious steam, even though we're still talking about smaller amounts right now. We're not quite at those mind-blowing trillion-dollar numbers yet, but here's the thing. That explosion is coming. You see, most of these major players are just waiting for one crucial piece of the puzzle. Clear, solid regulations. And when I say major players, I'm talking about companies like Arcax, who have some absolutely insane plans brewing. Get this, Arcax alone is planning to bring between $30 to $50 trillion worth of assets onto the XRP ledger. Can you even wrap your head around those numbers? That's just one company. And guess what? They're not the only ones making these massive moves. Here's the bottom line that should get you really excited. We haven't even seen the tokenization boom yet. What we're seeing now? This is just the warm-up. The real fireworks are still coming, and when they do, it's going to be absolutely game-changing. And speaking of proof that this is really happening, check this out. Eric Trump just confirmed that they're moving forward with real estate tokenization plans for World Liberty Financial. Now, full transparency here, I'm personally not jumping into anything Eric Trump is promoting, but that's beside the point. Here's why real estate tokenization is going to be absolutely massive, and this is where it gets really exciting for everyday investors like you and me. Think about it. How many people do you know who'd love to invest in real estate, but just don't have the cash to buy an entire house? Or maybe they dream about owning part of a luxury hotel, but can't drop millions of dollars. Well, tokenization completely changes the game. Now you can literally buy tiny pieces of a house, or small chunks of a hotel, or even spread your money across multiple buildings without actually having to purchase entire properties. It's like being able to own a slice of prime real estate for the price of a fancy dinner. This opens up real estate investing to everyone, not just the ultra-wealthy. That's why this tokenization wave is going to be absolutely unstoppable. 5 years from now, Wall Street as you know it will be gone. XTD Ameritrade CEO says on CNBC. Take a listen to this.
The people that grew up in the Web3 world and the DeFi world really are on top of their game. But it's a lot of people in the traditional finance world that still tend to struggle with this a little bit. So if you think about where the future is, 5 years from now, there's not going to be a stock, there's not going to be an option, there's not going to be a mutual fund, ETF, anything that's not in effect tokenized. Stablecoins. 5 years ago, nobody heard about stablecoins. Today, we've got about $280 billion market, and Secretary Bessent had said that two years from now, we'll probably have a $2 trillion market. Ethereum is about 60% of that. So Ethereum's got its own blockchain, and it's got programmable smart contracts that in effect can do really complex financial institutional type transactions, especially overseas, that can be done almost instantaneously today, and that's going to be the way of the future. So 5 years from now, the market that we know it today, the exchanges, 24/7 markets and settlement, et cetera, that's going to be the way of the future, and I'm not sure traditional finance has necessarily quite accepted that yet.
Now, here's what I think is really happening behind the scenes. Traditional finance is absolutely not ready for this revolution, and they know it. Picture this. All those big shot bankers in their fancy suits are basically playing a game of delay tactics right now. They can see the future racing toward them like a freight train, but they're desperately trying to pump the brakes for as long as humanly possible. But here's where it gets really interesting. Have you noticed what they keep pushing? It's always Ethereum this, Bitcoin that, right? They're constantly shilling these two like they're the be-all and end-all of crypto. Well, here's the plot twist they're not prepared for. When this new financial system finally drops, and trust me, it's coming whether they like it or not, Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be left standing on the sidelines. The real power players? Utility-driven cryptocurrencies that actually do something meaningful. We're talking about crypto with real-world purpose, not just digital gold sitting in wallets. And here's the kicker. Artificial intelligence is going to be right at the heart of it all, driving everything forward. The old guard has no idea what's about to hit them. And I talked about BlackRock tokenizing those Bitcoin ETFs for such a long time, and everybody thought I was crazy. Well, take a listen to this.
I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities to bonds across the board.
It's very loud here.
It is very loud.
But it's good. Capital's at work, Larry. You like that.
I love capital at work.
Yeah.
But there's $4.1 trillion of money sitting globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize a ETF, digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner, and then having people stay in that digital ecosystem. They can have their cash, and we have the largest cash money market fund that's tokenized called BITL. Our Bitcoin IBIT is now over $100 billion.
$100 billion, I know, from nothing not that long ago.
And 2 years ago, zero.
Yeah,
so
I know. Well, you weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know.
You
love it now.
But I grow and learn.
I heard you say that on 60 Minutes.
I did say that.
And get this. What he's really calling for is the digitization of everything. But here's the part that should make you sit up and pay attention. He specifically mentioned ETFs. Those Bitcoin ETFs that everyone's been going crazy about, they're about to become tokenized assets. This means people won't even need to mess around with buying actual Bitcoin anymore. They can just grab the ETFs instead. Way simpler, way more accessible. But it doesn't stop there. This guy wants to tokenize everything that has value. And here's where I have to say I told you so for a second. I was literally talking about this a year and a half ago. I said they were going to tokenize those Bitcoin ETFs, and you know what happened? People laughed at me. They were like, "Are you crazy? They're never going to tokenize Bitcoin ETFs." Well, guess who's laughing now? Sometimes being early feels like being wrong, but when you're right, you're really right. This is exactly the kind of forward thinking that separates the visionaries from the skeptics. The tokenization train is leaving the station, and those who said it would never happen are about to get left behind. I called it back then. I said Larry Fink was going to tokenize absolutely everything he could get his hands on, and boom, look what's happening now. So today, the National Cryptocurrency Association responded to something Brad Garlinghouse said in an interview, and this is actually really important stuff. You've probably heard people say, Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO, right? And you know what? They're absolutely correct. It perfectly shows how independent and neutral these open blockchains really are. But here's what drives me absolutely crazy, and I need to get this off my chest. That statement isn't just true for Bitcoin. Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Cardano, they all operate on public, permissionless networks where anyone can build and participate. None of them have CEOs. Here's a mind-blowing stat for you. 55 million Americans are already using crypto to improve their lives. What connects every single one of them? Access. Everyone's invited to the party and everyone can join in. Now this is where I get really fired up. These Bitcoin maximalists keep parroting Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO like it's some unique superpower. But they won't spend 2 seconds researching that XRP doesn't have a CEO either. And don't even get me started on how they try to separate Bitcoin from crypto. Like Bitcoin is this special unicorn and then there's everything else. Come on. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, just like all the others. The only difference? It doesn't have the real-world utility that XRP brings to the table. That's what sets XRP apart. Anthony Pompliano is full of it. I never like to play a whole video clip in my videos, but this one is definitely worth listening to. Take a listen.
And so I think that Bitcoin is the king of the crypto market. It's going to remain the king of the crypto market. And I think it's probably the only truly institutional asset that you're going to see central banks and others start to buy over time.
What do you think about XRP, the conversations with XRP, with Ripple, whether it's the technology or the coin?
I think that the market is very, very good at figuring out where value ends up accruing. And what you see in, let's call it outside of Bitcoin, in the top 10 coins, what you will start to see is Bitcoin's dominance has not only remained constant, it has actually gone up over time. And so I think that the market is assigning Bitcoin as kind of in a class of its own. Now, if you then go into, let's say, coins 2 through 10, what you start to find is those are much more akin to me to like technology stocks. There's a lot of competition there, right? So take XRP. My understanding is that they have a couple of different things that they've done. They're trying to do the stablecoin, right? Well, they've got a lot of competition from Tether, Circle. Now, all of a sudden, Stripe's getting in the game. Like there's a whole bunch of competition. There will probably be multiple winners, but it's heavy, heavy competition. On top of that, one of the things that is interesting to me, not so much about XRP, the coin, but about Ripple, the company, is they have this kind of engine to generate profit and monetize that XRP. They've started to acquire real companies. So what they did is they bought, I think one of the companies was called Hidden Road, and these are like big acquisitions. These aren't like $5 acquisitions. These are like $1 billion+ acquisitions that they're doing.
Rob, can you pull up a company's Ripple acquired?
And so what you're starting to see is, again, there's incredible controversy and debate, I think, over is XRP going to be sustainable? Is it something that people are going to use? But what they've started to do is they've started to take them. I mean, look, $200 million acquisition, $1.25 billion acquisition, $250 million acquisition, right? And so what they're doing is they're essentially using the monetization of their balance sheet, and they're starting to acquire real companies. Now, what I will say is we have seen this happen in traditional finance over time. You have a company that has very controversial or maybe unsustainable kind of business model, but they have some access to capital, and they begin to convert that into something else. And look, the Bitcoin treasury companies, a lot of them had companies that weren't working, and they said, well, why don't I just start to buy Bitcoin? And all of a sudden, they kind of revive their business. And so I think that this is very interesting. Now, there's kind of a delineation between XRP and Ripple, but I think that this acquisition stuff, people in the industry, even the people who don't like XRP, I think are saying to themselves, hey, that Hidden Road, that's a real company. Pay $1.25 billion for it, right? Yeah. Okay, you may be able to end up with an entire set of infrastructure there that you can then go and actually build a business with.
What does Hidden Road do?
Hidden Road, if I remember correctly, they do a lot of it's like market infrastructure, right? So like again, it goes back to this idea of where value accrues in the crypto industry is really kind of and really in finance in general. There's two buckets. You have the retail facing platforms, and then you have institutional facing like infrastructure. And so the retail platforms, that's your Coinbases, Binances, Geminis, Tethers, all those guys. But then you've got this like institutional infrastructure, everything from market making to, here you go. So like a global credit network for institutions, prime brokerage, clearing, financing, right? All this stuff that is very institutional in nature.
Is it like a Pershing? Is that what would it be considered? Is Hidden Road company Ripple acquire like a Pershing company? What is a Hidden Road? Yes, it is. Okay, sounds good. So I got it. I understand it. Okay, I mean, that's a big deal to buy something like that at 1.25 billion. And the guy that's running it, I think his name is Brad. I can't say his last name.
Garlinghouse.
Yeah.
Garlinghouse, yeah.
He seems like a very intellectual guy. He's involved on I've seen him with the Trump administration, a couple different things with them. But he doesn't just sound like one of these guys that came and created a coin. Hey, let's sell a bunch of stuff and then let's go. They're actually creating technology and buying technology. Good for them. So you're optimistic because you hear some people talk about Ripple could replace Swift. Possibility of that. Of course, the likelihood of that happening is less than 5%.
I wouldn't go that far. In terms of, I think, I know Brad. I think Brad is a nice guy. I think that the strategy that they're pursuing at Ripple is, if you were in their situation, I think it's very smart to go and acquire these businesses. I've always just said that, my focus is on Bitcoin because I think of that there's two problems in the world that I care about, and they're very interrelated. The first is I believe that the single biggest issue, if you can correct this one issue, it will have a profound impact on people's lives around the globe, is if you can basically stop the debasement of the currency. If you can stop that, then all of a sudden now what you do is you stop this silent theft, and now you allow people to actually keep the economic value that they've worked hard to earn. And so Bitcoin to me is the solution to that problem. There's kind of this heuristic of people have been complaining about this for decades, centuries, right? If you go back through all these societies, Bitcoin is the first technology solution to the problem. And so I think that is a very profound solution that is going to have an impact that we quite don't understand yet, frankly, right? So I think that's one big problem. The second problem that I'm very interested in is this idea of the little guy or the quote-unquote retail investor being able to get a level playing field against these large institutions. And I think that those two issues are very interrelated because now what we know in this country is you can't be a saver, you need to be an investor. As these retail folks realize I have to become an investor, they need access to information, they need access to the market. So that's my focus. That's where I think I'm most passionate about. That's what I'm most intellectually stimulated by. What these guys are doing, I think, is something that is different and outside of it. And so it's just not something I spend, any time.
Now, here's the part he completely missed when it comes to everyday retail investors. And this is huge. Most regular people can't drop $100,000 to buy one whole Bitcoin. So what's the first thing any smart retail investor thinks? I need to find something I can actually stack a decent bag of. If you can't afford one whole Bitcoin, you're never going to get rich off Bitcoin. It's just basic math. These Bitcoin maximalists love preaching about being your own bank and keeping money out of traditional accounts. And honestly, I agree with that to some extent. But here's my problem with their logic. If you actually want to make serious money in this space, you buy something other than Bitcoin. The return on investment potential is absolutely massive with XRP compared to Bitcoin. And did you catch what else he said? Ripple will never replace SWIFT. Oh boy, here we go again. What these guys completely ignore is that the United States has weaponized the SWIFT system, and guess what? Countries around the world are absolutely fed up with it. People are sick and tired of those ridiculous fees, the endless wait times. They want real-time payments, and they want them now. So when you build a better alternative to SWIFT, of course people are going to flock to it. You'd be signing up new customers every single day. But here's the real reason they hate the idea of Ripple replacing SWIFT. Because when that happens, XRP also replaces the need for their precious Bitcoin. And they can't handle that truth. Let's talk about Bitcoin as a store of value for a second. Have you seen how Bitcoin performs during tariff discussions? Or whenever there's global conflict? It crashes. Some store of value, right? It's more like a store of propped-up fake tether manipulation. And here's my favorite throwback moment. Remember back in 2017 when the same Anthony Pompliano said, "If you think Bitcoin went on a tear when CNBC and institutional investors discovered it, just wait until they discover Ripple and XRP. Wait until mainstream media starts talking about XRP." Well, Anthony, we're still waiting for you to remember your own words. Retail will then be priced out. What are the biggest challenges keeping stablecoins from becoming truly global money? This comes from Ripple. So here's what they're saying, and this is really important stuff. Real-world use cases aren't coming anymore, they're already here. Stablecoins have completely evolved beyond just crypto speculation. They're now solving actual, tangible problems in the real world. We're talking about business-to-business, cross-border payments, payroll systems for digital companies, and settlement in tokenized markets. These aren't theoretical use cases. They're happening right now and proving their worth in the traditional economy. Now, here's something I totally agree with. Interoperability absolutely must be a first principle. Everything has to work together seamlessly or the whole system falls apart. It's that simple. But here's the biggest challenge and opportunity rolled into one. Regulatory harmonization. The inconsistent rules and definitions across different countries are creating the primary roadblock to global adoption. We're ending up with these isolated, walled gardens that completely kill fungibility. This is exactly why I keep hammering this point. You're not going to see wildly different regulations from country to country. Global stablecoin regulations are coming, and they're going to be similar worldwide because they have to be. Cross-border payments simply won't work otherwise. And here's where it gets spicy. We already know Tether can't pass MiCA regulations. That's where the real problems are going to start brewing with USDT. Now listen to this. Stablecoins should be boring. They should be reliable, predictable payment tools, not speculative roller coasters. That boring stability is actually the secret sauce that builds the trust needed to integrate into real financial infrastructure. Remember when everyone was rushing to buy RLUSD even though we knew it was a stablecoin pegged to $1? People in this market just want to be first to everything. Here's the bottom line about our regulatory future. Everything is going to get a clear label. Bitcoin? Speculative asset. XRP? Utility-driven cryptocurrency that actually solves real-world problems. The labeling system is coming, and it's going to change everything.
And once that labeling system kicks in, here's what's going to blow your mind. Institutions are going to completely shift their strategy. They're not going to be throwing money at Bitcoin anymore. Instead, they're going to be laser-focused on whatever actually solves real-world problems, because that's where the real value lies. Now, let me hit you with some absolutely incredible numbers that show this is already happening. We're racing toward 1 billion FXRP, and get this, we're only 3 weeks in and already 20 million FXRP have been minted. But here's the kicker. Half of that has already been put to work in Flare Network's DeFi ecosystem. This isn't just sitting around collecting digital dust. This is active, working capital. So where exactly is all this XRP flowing? Well, you're about to find out, and trust me, you're going to want to hear this.
So the early numbers are telling us that a lot of the FXRP is actually going either into like the collateral pools for the specific agents, or they're generally being deposited into Kinetic. So we're seeing large demand on the borrow lend side and the agent collateral side. I do think eventually we'll get to this kind of state of where most of our retail users and institutions have onboarded their XRP, and people will look into the DeFi ecosystem or further and further into the DeFi ecosystem to build strategies to generate yield.
Here's my take on how we're going to build rock-solid, sustainable yield. And this is really exciting stuff. It all comes down to getting more people involved. I'm talking about both everyday retail investors like you and me and the big institutional players. Think about it like this. The more XRP we can onboard across the board, the stronger and more robust the entire network becomes. It's like building a foundation. The more participants we have, the more stable everything gets. And here's the beautiful part. As this network grows stronger, the yield-earning opportunities down the road are going to be absolutely phenomenal. We're literally building the infrastructure for future wealth generation right now. It's a perfect cycle. More participation leads to a stronger network, which leads to better yields, which attracts even more participation. We're in the early stages of something really special here.
I just don't think we're quite there yet. Volatility Shares has proposed 5 times XRP exchange-traded funds, and it's insanely risky. And they actually call this out in the article, which is super important for everyone to understand. If someone's offering you 5% yield right now, you need to be really careful, because most likely that comes with some seriously high risk attached. Here's the reality check. We're just not at that sweet spot yet where you can earn yield without significant risk. But don't worry, that's coming. Once the big institutions really start flooding into this space, everything changes. So what's the smart play right now? It's actually pretty simple. Buy XRP, hold XRP, and then sit back and wait for that price to go absolutely parabolic. And here's why I'm so confident about this strategy. We are so incredibly close to massive institutional adoption. I mean, we're practically on the doorstep. That's exactly why I'm not putting my XRP out there for yield farming or staking right now. I want some kind of rock-solid guarantee on my XRP before I start moving it around. Call me cautious, but I think we're going to get those guarantees later as this space matures. Sometimes the best move is just to be patient and let the big picture play out. We're so close to something huge. Why take unnecessary risks now? MIT says crypto is still a bit of the Wild West, and honestly, I couldn't agree more. Until we get clear regulations here in the United States, we're going to keep seeing this chaotic environment where people can lose everything lightning fast. But here's the key. It all depends on what you're investing in. If you're putting your money into something that actually has value and solves real-world problems, I don't see that as gambling at all. To me, that's a sure win. When you're buying XRP, you're essentially buying a lottery ticket, but one with incredible odds in your favor. Now, those Wild West days, they're absolutely coming to an end. And when they do, I predict we're going to see 3 major bottlenecks that will reshape everything.
First, the stablecoin shakeout. Some stablecoins are going to lose their peg completely and just disappear because they can't meet regulatory standards. Second, the crypto purge. I'm talking about 99% of cryptocurrencies vanishing into thin air. And third, the exchange cleanup. Way too many exchanges aren't doing proper know your customer or anti-money laundering procedures, and that's about to catch up with them, hard. When all this hits, it's going to look like a black swan event. Everything's going to be crashing. Everyone's going to be panicking. But here's the beautiful part. As soon as those regulations lock into place, certain cryptocurrencies are going to explode upward. All that money flowing out of meme coins has to go somewhere, right? And it's going straight into real value. Think about it. People who are used to making 1,000 times gains gambling on meme coins aren't going to settle for Bitcoin's measly 2 times potential. Honestly, I don't even see a 2x left in Bitcoin for this run. Sure, you'll hear people saying Bitcoin's going to $500,000 or even $1 million, but guess what? That's just the Bitcoin marketing team talking. Same familiar faces you see on mainstream media every single day. They need to onboard retail investors to use as exit liquidity. And when they get the signal that the top is in, those big bag holders will already be long gone, leaving retail holding worthless bags. But us? As XRP investors, we are about to witness the most parabolic run in crypto history. I'm telling you right now, XRP is going to absolutely melt faces in this run. All you have to do is be here when it happens. So until that glorious moment arrives, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. All right, that's a wrap on this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. I'll catch you in the next one, and until then, have an absolutely amazing night.